Hello everyone, this is Jeremy with To The Tabletop, and today we are taking a look at an updated video for Ghost Rider from the Unmatched games. So sometime after the Redemption Row set was released, there was a change in how Ghost Rider's special ability was interpreted. And so because of that, I have edited some new segments into this video. You'll see some of the original video on there and then some of the new segments that you will see filmed here. Ghost Rider is one of the licensed Marvel fighters from the Redemption Row set, along with Luke Cage and Moon Knight. Famous motorcycle rider who has been given the Spirit of Vengeance, where he goes after the really nasty people, and he's known for his flaming skull. This mini here is pretty dang awesome. I mean, one interesting thing that some fans of Ghost Rider pointed out is the bike that is depicted here is very much Danny Ketch's bike, because it's got this very distinctive front end on it there, where Johnny Blaze always had the more traditional looking Harley. They do mention Johnny Blaze by name on the back of the box here, and so that's just an interesting thing that somehow got past the Marvel people. Just kind of a weird thing there. See that Ghost Rider has like a lot of orange yellows and kind of purplish magenta color that show up in all of his artwork. He's got these things. What are these things? Well, he's got 5 of them, and you can kind of turn them into a star or something there. These are Hellfire tokens. We'll learn more about the Hellfire tokens as we look at this character card. Or wait a minute, this is a family channel. Maybe I need to call them Heckfire. Yes, Heckfire tokens. Ghost Rider is a melee fighter with a health of 17 and a move of 2. Kind of. We'll get to that. Ghost Rider starts the game with 5 Hellfire. Boom, Hellfire. When you maneuver, you may spend 1 Hellfire. When you spend it over, you flip it, and it's gray on the back and just kind of goes out. And it says Marvel. But when you do spend that Hellfire, that Heckfire, increase Ghost Rider's move value to 4. This just moves it up to 4, and he may move through opposing fighters. Then deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter he moved through. Whoa, so, yeah, this is... You can spend 1 Hellfire token, which you have ways to regain Hellfire token. You can then change your movement to 4, and you can just run over fools with your bike and deal 1 damage to everyone that you run over. Okay, so some things to clarify on that. You deal 1 damage to each opposing fighter he moved through, not 1 damage for each time he moves through someone. So going back and forth over the same dude does not deal more than 1 damage to them. Also, once you spend a Hellfire to increase Ghost Rider's move to 4, his move is set to 4. You will not be able to increase it beyond the 4 by boosting. You still can boost, and you can spend a card if you want to for some reason, but you will not be able to increase that number over 4. So 4 spaces with the Hellfire maneuver is going to be the most that he will ever be able to do. All right, well, let's go take a look at all of these cards that we got for this dude. Start off with some schemes here. Chains of Hellfire. I'm starting off with this just so you know it's there. Set your Hellfire to 5. So, yeah, this just gives you 5 Hellfire. Lots of ways to get Hellfire as you go through and look at this. Hell rides with me. I'm sorry, Heck rides with me. I gotta remember to do that. Move Ghost Rider and up to 1 adjacent fighter up to 4 spaces each. Gain 2 Hellfire, gain an action. So you get to move, you get to take a fool along with you while you do it. You get some more Hellfire and you gain an action. That is a lot that gets to go on with that card. Spirit of Vengeance. Well, we knew there'd be a Spirit of Vengeance somewhere. After combat, you may spend 1 Hellfire to draw 2 cards. So you need some cards, you can turn a Hellfire in for some cards. I brought the Devil with me. An attack of 3. After combat, you may spend 2 Hellfire to gain an action. So you can see that the Hellfire is for more than just running fools over with your bike. Blaze of Glory. Attack of 2. After combat, spend any amount of Hellfire. Deal that much damage to each fighter in Ghost Rider zone, including Ghost Rider. You're going out in a blaze of glory because you're like taking yourself down with it. And one thing that was confirmed by the restoration staff on the restoration Discord, if an effect would kill both fighters there, or kill or take out multiple heroes there, and that happens at the same time, who ends up winning? Is it a draw? Well, no, it's not a draw. It would be the active player, or whoever's turn it is, gets to do that. In this case, it would be Ghost Rider. So if you manage to spend enough Hellfire there to take everybody out, you get the win. So that's one way to win there. Even if you die, you still win. Deal with the Devil. Defense of 3. You may spend any amount of Hellfire, increase the value of this card by that amount. So it's not a big defense number there. It's only a 2, but you got a lot of Hellfire there that you can use to bring that up. Stoke the Flames, 3 copies. The defense of 2. If you lost to combat, gain Hellfire equal to the combat damage you took. So this is another way to gain some Hellfire here, depending on how much damage you take on that. Going into our versatiles, the Wicked will burn. Yeah, they're definitely burning there. Versatile of 3. After combat, if Ghost Rider started this turn in a different space, gain 2 Hellfire. All this Hellfire to gain. I finally escaped hell, or I finally escaped heck. Lots of hell in this deck. Versatile of 3. After combat, you may spend 1 Hellfire to move Ghost Rider up to 2 spaces. Penance Stare. 2 copies of this. A versatile of 3. During combat, add the boost value of the opposing fighter's card to this card's value. You may spend 2 Hellfire to do it a second time. Okay, this could potentially be massive depending on what they play. So let's look at this as an attack here. If they throw something that has a boost value of 1, this would go up to a 4. You can spend 2 Hellfire to make it a 5. Would that be good? Yeah, maybe. If it's something that has a boost value of 2, it automatically goes to a 5. 2 Hellfire to turn it up to a 7. That's probably worth it because that is really high there. If they throw a defense at you that has a boost value of 3, this goes up to a 6, and with 2 Hellfire you can turn it into a 9. Absolutely you do that because a 9 is stupid. That is just absolutely stupid. And if Alice has the misfortune of playing you and plays Looking Glass into this attack, which has a boost value of 4, this goes up to a 7, and with 2 Hellfire you turn it into an 11. And if Alice is small, that Looking Glass is only going to defend 3, and this would be an 11, so she would be taking 8 damage. Even if she managed to survive that and heal up to 3, she would have taken 5 damage. That would be absolutely devastating to poor Alice, and there's other reasons we will get into in a bit as to why Alice will have a hard time with this. And looking at this as a defense card here, you get to decide and see what your opponent's card is going to be before you spend your Hellfire to decide if you want to add their boost value to it a second time. So you can see what is thrown out there. There's many cards like a Skirmish will typically only have a boost value of 1. So you would add that to it, make this a 4. You win over the Skirmish. They don't get their card. They don't get their card effect with this as a defensive card. So you don't really need to spend the Hellfire in that case. There may be other cards where you definitely want to be able to throw that on there. And even something like a log or something, you'll be able to have that has enough high enough boost value on its own to pretty much match that, to where most of the time defensively you're not needing to use that unless you're coming up against like a Forever Hide or a beast form that can really ramp up to something ridiculous. Then you can do it. Control the Demon. This is a versatile of 0. During combat, this card's value is +1 for each Hellfire you have. You do not spend Hellfire for this effect. So it basically just becomes whatever that is there if it's not fainted. You know how much Hellfire you have there, so you know what this could potentially be when you play it. And finally, you have 2 copies of Faint. It's pretty good looking Faint artwork there as well. You know what Faint does. Versatile 2, immediately cancel all effects on your opponent's card. So what all in here does Ghost Rider have that can really smack hard? Well, really Penance Stare is your big scary one. And it's going to be a little bit RNG based because it's going to depend on what card they are throwing at it. If they throw something with a low boost value, it's not going to do a lot. You catch a 2 or a 3, or someone like Alice with a 4, this will be absolutely devastating. On top of that, you do have 3 5s there that let you do a lot. You got some 3s that let you gain actions. You got stuff here that can let you deal damage after the fact, although you take it as well. And you also have the other versatile there that could go up to a 5 if you have all of your Hellfire. So he does have quite a bit in there, but usually he does need to get some damage to come in from elsewhere, which is where that special ability comes in. How much Hellfire do you get in this deck? Well, let's take a look. Start off with 5. We'll put those down there. That gives you 15. We can put these 2 down there, and that gives us 19. We can do these, and if you manage to start on a different space and maneuver, it works kind of like a Moment of Shift. You can get 6 more, which will put us at 25. And then you got these, which will be based off of however much damage you took. This is a 2, so you could easily see these getting anywhere from 1 to 3 Hellfire pretty easily, which could give you potentially another 9 or upwards of that even if it's something big that came at you there. So you've got quite a bit of Hellfire that you can get there. Now, I talked earlier that there was a change in how this was interpreted. Originally, the special ability was interpreted that you could in fact boost over that 4 when you spent a Hellfire. So you could spend a Hellfire, you could discard a card and add that boost value to the 4 and move him up to like a 7 or so and just really make him crazy mobile. What they were finding was that was becoming a bit too oppressive because it kind of gave you this vroom vroom, Ghost Rider go brr play style, which just means you would just boost and spend Hellfire and run people down. And particularly the fighters that had really low health and low healing or situational healing, some like Robin Hood and Alice, you would just really be super oppressive because basically in like 7 turns he could run over you enough times that you just end up dead, and it just made it very, very difficult for a lot of characters to ever be able to defeat him. And even the ones with the higher health, you would be able to run over them enough that it wouldn't take a whole lot of attacks. And so basically keeping that Hellfire maneuver at a 4 makes it to where Ghost Rider does have to actually go out there and has to engage, and has made him a much more balanced character where he's not just going to go crazy and run over everybody the entire time. We don't usually see Restoration make changes on things concerning the characters like this. Usually once they are put out there, they are more or less set in stone and don't change. But they felt that since this is not changing the text of his special ability, but just changing the interpretation of his special ability, that it would be okay to do it that way. It's also worth pointing out that once you buy this game and you get it home, you can play this game however you want to, and you can use whatever rules interpretations you want to. There are the ones that will be the official ones, and those official ones will be the ones that will be used in tournaments. So if you're going to be playing in any tournament, particularly the online tournaments done through the Restoration Discord, you're going to be playing by those official rulings. But at home, you could do whatever you want with it. So Ghost Rider is a very interesting character. He is going to be able to do a lot with his Hellfire maneuver, and he'll be able to take a lot of health off of his opponents by running them over with his bike, but he is still going to have to get out there and engage. So you're going to have to find the right balance of using your Hellfire to run people over and using Hellfire for your card effects, particularly those defensive card effects, which really aren't all that great if you don't dump some Hellfire into them. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up and a like. You can also go down into the comments section and leave me any thoughts or questions that you have about this guy, or tell me why I'm completely wrong about him. And you can also subscribe to my channel. Make sure you catch all the videos I post so you don't miss anything. We'll see you around next time.